So out of Cowboys training camp, so far they've done nothing to address their wide receiver depth problems. Their kicker battle looks like both players will be cut from a UIL high school here in Texas, and Jerry Jones has reopened the Jimmy Johnson feud for no reason whatsoever. Things are going great, but somehow in all of that, one of the primary topics this week became Trevon Diggs and whether he's good or not. This was all spurred by some videos shot on a sideline on a cell phone of him losing one-on-one battles against wide receivers. Let's just dispense with that right off the top of the bat. A wide receiver should win a one-on-one battle with no safety help and no pass rush 9 times out of 10. There is no shame in losing those battles. That is on the receiver to win. But it opened up a much bigger can of worms that's been discussed really for the last season. How good is Trevon Diggs? Obviously, his interception numbers are gaudy. 11 overall, record-setting season for the Cowboys. But he gives up a lot of big plays. Groups like Pro Football Focus rank him way down the list and list of corners. So we could dig deeper into those stats. We could say, well, targets versus catches. Who's responsible for those big plays? But for sake of argument, let's just accept both arguments. Let's accept that Trevon Diggs is a ball hawk who gives up big plays. Does that make him a good corner still? Let's look at a broader spectrum here in the NFL. Last year, 38% of all drives ended in some variety of points being scored. The year before that, it was 40%. The most likely thing, plurality-wise, on the list when a drive begins is that points will be scored in some variety. A quarter of all drives end in touchdowns. Meanwhile, only 7% of drives end with an interception. So already you see Trevon Diggs offers you something much rarer. Getting the ball back on an interception only happens 7 times out of 100. Whereas a touchdown, if you give it up, happens on 1 out of every 4 drives. So you see that his 5 touchdowns he gave up aren't all that bizarre. His 11 picks do stand out much more in that situation. Look at it like this as well. If you happen to lock a guy down but somebody else is open, well, what have you actually done? What if you lock a guy down but the quarterback hits a tight end underneath for a first down? What if you stop him flat out but they pick up a first down in the next drive? Just stopping a guy from catching the ball doesn't guarantee the offense won't score. Modern day offenses especially. Taking the ball away does. We actually have an amazing case study last year that shows Trevon at his best and worst and what the stats think of it. Against the Patriots, the Cowboys were trailing by 1 with just over 2 minutes left. Trevon Diggs got a pick 6 to give the Cowboys a 5-point lead. The very next play gave up a huge touchdown to lose the lead. The Cowboys' odds of winning that game, or rather the Patriots' odds of winning that game, when the Cowboys missed their field goal to stay down 1, were 77.5%. After they scored their touchdown 30 seconds later to retake the lead, their odds of winning were 75.7%. That's right, the Cowboys' odds improved almost 2% between Trevon's pick 6 and his blown coverage. It makes sense. Ask anybody in the world, would you rather have the ball down, would you rather your opponent have the ball with you down 1 or you have the ball down 3? That's the thing, those odds would have been much better, honestly, had the Cowboys converted their 2-point conversion and the Patriots not converted those. Those are things that are outside of Trevon Diggs' control. So, when I look at that right there, when I look at that immediate case study of a pick 6 and then a blown coverage back to back, what I see is that he is worth it and he is one of the better corners. Just by doing that, by having him at his best and his worst in a microcosm, gave you a 2% better chance of winning. Now, honestly, I don't usually care for ESPN win probability models. I think they're way overreact to minor plays, but that's one way of looking at things. And I think everyone would pretty much agree. You'd rather have a guy who makes big plays and allows the occasional big plays, especially in such an offensive-heavy league, than a guy who, like Byron Jones, just sort of does his job. You need flash, you need things like that, you need guys to get you the ball back. So I do think Trevon Diggs deserves his spot in the upper echelon of corners, and I think he was right to delete his Twitter account. We probably all should follow his suit.